Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving deep into a really fascinating and pretty intricate piece of prophetic interpretation. It's like a giant puzzle, one that tries to connect ancient texts, major historical events, and believe it or not, even hidden symbols on our money. So let's see if we can piece this thing together. So the whole thing really hinges on this one cryptic phrase from the Bible: time, times, and half a time. The source material we're digging into today tries to decode this, and they believe it's the key to a very specific timeline for everything. I mean, what on earth is that supposed to mean, right? Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down, just following the logic from our source. We'll start with the riddle itself. Then, we'll look at how they decode all the symbols. After that, we get to the math, the key calculation. Then, things get weird with a clue on a dollar bill. And finally, we'll put all the pieces together to see the full, final timeline they came up with. All right, let's dive right into part one, the riddle, time, times. We're going to start by figuring out exactly where this mysterious phrase even comes from. So here it is, straight out of the book of Revelation. The verse describes this woman, who our source says represents the people of Israel, and she's fleeing a dragon. She goes into the wilderness where she's taken care of for, you guessed it, a time and times and half a time. This single phrase is what kicks off this entire investigation. Okay, so with that phrase in mind, let's move on to part two, decoding the prophetic symbols. See, to solve the riddle, the source says you first have to figure out who's who in this ancient vision. According to the source material we're looking at, there are two main players here. First, you have the woman, who is interpreted as the people of Israel. And then you have the dragon, who they identify as the ancient Roman Empire, whose legacy the author claims was eventually passed on to Russia. This whole setup is the key to unlocking everything else that follows. And this is where it starts to get really wild. Part three, the key calculation. This is the moment the source turns that ancient poetic phrase into a hard number. And it all comes down to their very specific definition of just one word. So the big question is, what exactly is a time? Well, according to this interpretation, the original Hebrew word moed means more than just a year. It means an appointed time. And the author argues that this appointed time is exactly equal to the 430 years the Israelites were in Egypt. You got to remember, this one idea, it's the foundation for the entire calculation. Okay, so once you accept that definition, the math is actually pretty straightforward. Let's walk through it. One time is 430 years. Times, plural, is interpreted to mean three of those, which gets you 1,290 years. Half a time is, half of 430, so that's 215 years. You add it all up, and you land on a total period of 1,935 years. So you do all that decoding, all that math, and you land on this one number, 1,935 years. According to this theory, that's the secret meaning behind time, times, and half a time. The question now is, what do you do with that number? Well, you apply it to a timeline. The source pinpoints a start date, 81 AD. This marks the beginning of some really intense persecution of Christians under the Roman Emperor Domitian. So you take that start date, you add the 1,935 years we just calculated, and where does that land you? On a very, very specific end date, the year 2016. But wait. It doesn't stop there. This is where it takes a really unexpected turn. Part four is about a clue on a dollar bill. The source claims to have found a completely separate calculation that supposedly confirms that exact same year. Yeah, you heard that right. The source claims there's a hidden prophetic code on the Great Seal of the United States, the one you see on the back of every single $1 bill. A pretty wild claim for sure. Okay, so here's how the source breaks down the math on this one. You start with the year at the base of the pyramid, 1776. Simple enough. Then you see the 12 steps of the pyramid. Now, the source applies its own rule here, assigning each of those steps a value of 20 years. So 12 times 20 is 240 years. You add that to your starting year, 1776 plus 240, and you land on the exact same year, 2016. And this is the moment where it all supposedly clicks into place. According to the source, you have two totally different paths, one from an ancient biblical prophecy and the other from a symbol on modern American money, and somehow they both point to the very same year, 2016. Okay, so that brings us to the grand finale. Part 5, the final prophesied timeline. With 2016 locked in as the critical date, the source then builds out a final timeline of what they believe are the end time events. So, based on that 2016 date, here's the endgame timeline that the author lays out. The year 2016 is said to kick off what they call Daniel's final week, which is another prophetic period lasting 7 years. That period wraps up in 2023, which is when they say the kingdom of God begins in Israel. And then it all culminates in 2034, which is when the final generation that supposedly started in 1914 must end, meaning all prophecies have to be fulfilled. So there you have it, a wild ride from an ancient text all the way to a symbol on a dollar bill. And stepping back from this one theory, it really makes you think, doesn't it? How do these ancient texts, these symbols, and these elaborate calculations still have such a powerful grip on how people try to understand the future, even today?